All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Visibility with Video, where every week we uncover the secrets of the universe when it comes to video marketing. I am Jenny, our podcasting expert, here with.
I'm Josh, the YouTube marketing expert.
And I'm Marie Wadier, a visibility strategist.
And tonight we come to you as is usual with our typical format where me, the host of this time, knows exactly what we're talking about. And these two lovely people beside me have no idea. So it's going to be really interesting, especially tonight because, Josh, I'm going to be calling on you a lot with this one. But
Okay.
we are talking about, and if you saw the title of this here live show, I specifically called it Video, the Future of Podcasting. And that might sound like a big statement. I don't think it is, though, because in everything I'm seeing, people are turning more and more to video podcasts. And for a whole bunch of reasons. But before we get into that, I want to pull back to just the very basics of video in general. So I'm going to turn to you guys and give me like 30 seconds. Why is video important for your business? What are like the big things that video can bring to your business?
Well, for me, one of the biggest things that I see is it lets people actually see you. And that is a really big thing. When it comes to communication, science has proven that one of the biggest ways that we communicate is with body language. And when people just hear your voice, that's okay. And they can still hear the inflection in your voice, and they can kind of get the message that you're trying to get across. But it's a whole different thing when they can actually see you. It helps them to understand you better, to relate with you better. And in the long run, it helps them to trust you more, which makes them more likely to buy from you.
Yeah, I think that what they see is your reactions. I think they see your emotions. They read it all over your face. And that either makes them feel more welcome or more driven away. But either way, you're either attracting your people and repelling the ones that are not your people. And which is what you want to do anyway. So with Josh, I think it brings transparency and visibility.
Yeah, exactly. And that, along with a whole bunch of other reasons, is why people are bringing video into the realm of podcasting. Now, we've already talked some about like podcasting versus other types of content creation. And especially if you've watched our YouTube channel a bunch, we've talked about that before. The benefits of podcasting specifically, in that the style of content that is podcasting already builds more engagement than other types of than other videos and like written content. Podcasting typically builds more engagement. You get this like tight-knit fan base that just kind of builds itself around your podcast as you keep building it and growing it. And it's really cool to see all of that come together. But then if you take that tight-knit group of people who are already super excited about your podcast and then switch everything over to a video format, and not necessarily like switch it over and forget the audio format altogether. That's not what we're talking about. But when we talk about video podcasting, it's a podcast that puts out both the audio episodes, but also the video episodes as well. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. So that's why a lot of people are switching to video podcasting, because it's like, oh, you get the benefits of podcasting. You get that close-knit community. You get those people that get really excited when you release new episodes. But then you also get the benefits of video, the even like being even more close, than getting to see your expressions, and therefore even becoming more attached to you and to your brand. So not only tonight, though, are we going to be talking about video podcasting, I want to bring it specifically, Josh, into your realm, into the realm of YouTube video podcasting. Because we all know YouTube is like the most popular video hosting site in the world, period. It's the most popular video hosting site. There are some that are like close behind it, like Vimeo is really popular, but YouTube is like it's the big, when people think of videos, they think YouTube.
Yeah.
So why not video podcasts? And they have actually put a lot of work in recently. And I know, Josh, you've been looking a little bit into this, just in like YouTube in general. But they have been putting a lot of work recently into expanding their video podcasts on YouTube itself.
Yeah, they now have a whole website as a part of YouTube. I think it's YouTube.podcast, something like that. I'm not going to remember the URL off the top of my head, but YouTube now has its own URL hub area for podcasts on YouTube because they're incredibly popular on there now. And I mean, when you think back to like 2 weeks ago when I did my last live, I was talking about YouTube trends, and one of the big trends was, well, one of the big things that I pointed out was that YouTube was named the world's most popular podcast platform. And that surprises some people because people always think, well, Apple Podcasts is the most popular podcast platform.
And it has been for a very long time.
But the thing is, there are a lot of podcasts that are on Apple Podcasts that are also on YouTube and around like that. So because of that, YouTube has become extremely popular for podcasts.
Yeah, I get really excited when we talk about YouTube and podcasts. I'm just throwing this in real quick, just from the algorithm side of things, from the way that, and you're probably going to get into this, but just the way that it can really target your audience in some really cool ways using the YouTube algorithm, and the way that your content can really be search indexed so that it's going to show up when your people are searching for what you're talking about. So
yeah, exactly. There's a reason that we decided when we started this live show podcast, there's a reason that we decided YouTube was one of the places we were going to host it. It's for like all of those reasons and stuff I'm going to get into in a minute. I do want to read, there's this quote I found from YouTube themselves as I was looking this up, talking about the benefits of video podcasting versus podcasting. And they say video allows more intimacy with your audience, benefits accessibility through body language and lip reading, and allows you to get creative with visual storytelling elements, which is something that I have seen so many people take on and just run with in really cool ways. Our analysis found that podcasts on YouTube with videos, particularly those featuring hosts on camera, are performing better than podcasts with just static visuals. So YouTube themselves is saying, hey, people want to see your face in your podcast videos. Now, they do go on to say that, like, even if you don't have your face on camera, and there's a bunch of people that do this where they will have just like a little figure on camera that moves around as you hear their voice or something, and it still turns out like super engaging and stuff. But best of all is something like this where you got like your face on the camera. So
yeah, and I think one of the main reasons for that, and it's one of the reasons why podcasting itself is so successful, is because people are spending a long time with you. Most podcasts are longer, and there are some very short podcasts, but most podcasts are 15 minutes or longer, some ranging even up to an hour or more than that. And what that does is it lets people stay with you for a very long time. So, and it's also a scientifically proven thing that the more people interact with someone or something, the more they connect with them, and like the stronger relationship that they have with them. Like an example I always like to give with this is with my grandmother. She has an old blue coffee cup that she has had for as long as I have been alive. She has had it so long that the inside of this coffee cup is completely stained black, even though the outside is still blue. And she will still to this day only drink coffee from that coffee cup because she has used it.
And a container of Folgers coffee, I'm telling you, probably 80 years ago. And inside the old tin of Folgers coffee,
and she will to this day, that's the only coffee cup that she ever uses. She keeps it by her chair all the time. Wherever she goes, she has that coffee cup. And the reason is because she's used it so much that she has developed a relationship with that coffee cup and she doesn't want to let it go. Well, the same thing happens with podcasters. And I know it sounds kind of weird to relate that to podcasting, but the point is, if you go on YouTube and you watch a 5-minute informational video, then you've only been with the person for 5 minutes. That's not very long. You've got a little information. Now you're going, that's probably the last you're going to see of them, unless you like start searching for more things that they've made, something like that. But if you instead go to a 45-minute podcast and you're interested in what they're saying, so you listen all the way through it, you have now listened to, was that 9 times the length of time? So you have spent a lot of time with them. And then now if you enjoy the podcast, you listen to another episode and another episode. Before long, you have spent hours and hours and hours listening to this person talk. And that just gives you a lot of time to really feel comfortable with them, really understand their personality. And so video just enhances all of that. Because again, you can actually see them. You can see the expressions on their face. You can see their body language, how they're moving. You can actually see the passion that they have for the things that they're talking about. And when you get that like intense amount of connection over a long period of time, it just makes it extremely easy to build strong connections, which lead to sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So continuing down the trail of why specifically YouTube for podcasting and why I get so excited about YouTube for podcasting. We've already talked about the fact that YouTube is the biggest podcasting site now. They've only their whole podcasting thing has only come out in the last couple months, and they have already skyrocketed to being like up there with the big dogs of podcast hosting. Yeah, they're putting a ton of effort into developing this aspect of their content hosting. And honestly, it shows. It shows both by how many creators are coming and hosting their podcasts on YouTube, and also how many viewers are coming to watch podcasts on YouTube. It really shows the effort that they're putting in. One of the biggest thing that excites me about having this whole avenue is YouTube is huge.
Yeah.
YouTube is huge. There are over 2 billion people on this website. 2 billion people from around the world that use YouTube on a regular basis. So if you are putting your podcast on YouTube, that opens you up to potentially 2 billion people.
Those are just like daily users, active users, right?
Yeah, that's active users. That is active monthly users on the site. So there is no, I don't know if people will watch it. I don't know if my people are going to be there to watch it. There's 2 billion of them.
Yeah, and
somebody is going to want to watch it.
And another really big thing of why YouTube it just outperforms all of the other podcast platforms is that YouTube is first and foremost a search engine. And it is extremely good at helping you find what you're looking for. But not a lot of podcast platforms are that good at helping you find that. Like, just an example for this, if I am looking for a podcast on something, I have a couple different podcast platforms that I go to listen to podcasts. I don't search for podcasts on there because I have such a hard time finding them. What I do is I go either to YouTube or I go to Google, which are both the same company with the same search engine. And I put in what I'm looking for there with the podcast, and it is able to get me to the type of podcast that I like. When you're hosting your episodes on YouTube, it means that when people are searching for your type of podcast, it's easier for them to find it. When they're searching for the topic of the episode that you're creating, it's easier for them to find that. And if they would just naturally be interested in your podcast, YouTube will show your podcast to them. So it makes the whole process of getting your podcast found by those 2 billion active users a lot simpler than it is on those other podcast platforms.
Exactly. YouTube will literally market your podcast for you as long as you are like telling it exactly what your podcast is about and staying consistent, it'll be like, okay, maybe this person will like it. Maybe this person will like it. And they will literally market it for you because they want people coming back and staying on the platform.
Yeah, I think it's cool the way YouTube will just randomly show your content to like, I'm going to show it to 1 million people over here and just see who likes it. And in doing their algorithm, you know, the testing and all of this stuff in order to really hone that in. So, yeah, you're going to get in front of people you never would have got in front of otherwise. So, yeah, I love everything about it.
Yeah. Plus, podcasting is just super hot on YouTube right now. Everybody is realizing how good, like, the podcasts are that are being hosted there and how easy YouTube is making it to find them. And so everybody is rushing there right now. So it's like, it's a super great time. If you're not doing it right now, is a super great time to get your video podcast going up on YouTube. Also, YouTube's monetization system is easier than like anywhere else.
Yeah.
Is like, because once you get up to a certain threshold, admittedly, you have to get to a certain threshold. But once you get to that certain threshold, you just make money. You just anytime like people watch your videos, it's like, okay, here's a little bit, here's a little bit, here's a little bit. So the more time you put into growing your podcast, growing that channel, you're just gonna be making good money. And then that is not even including the typical monetization for podcasts in sponsors, in selling stuff, and like any of that kind of stuff. People still expect that to be worked in, even with the YouTube ads that are on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is one thing that is always interesting about YouTube, is that you get the opportunity to put ads in your content without anyone being annoyed at it, because that's just the natural thing on YouTube. Unless you pay for YouTube Premium, in which case they don't watch the ads, but you still get a portion of the money that they're paying because they're watching your content. But yeah, people expect ads on YouTube. That's just a standard thing. They know that that's going to happen for regular videos, and they don't expect anything different for podcasts. So with it being a longer form content, it gives you more opportunities than you would in a normal YouTube video to have ads in there. And as long as you're not doing like ads every 2 minutes, then people probably aren't going to even notice that it's happening and just be okay with it, because that's just standard YouTube. And if they're not okay with it, they're not going to complain to you, because YouTube has an option to get rid of the ads. So that's the other upside.
Exactly.
I love it. We have podcast expert, YouTube expert colliding here.
I know, that's why I was like, I knew he was going to be super excited when I picked this topic to talk about. And next, and I'm going to say, Josh, whatever you would put on this one, keep it short, because I know in Mod 2, all of us will go on for hours about this, but YouTube's analytics
oh my God.
are better than...
All right, so our live stream is going to go for an additional half an hour, but
let me tell you how much fun YouTube analytics are.
They are, but seriously, YouTube's analytics are so much better than anything you're going to find on any platform hosting site ever. They just are. They will tell you anything you want to know about how your videos are doing, how your channel's doing, what your audience is like. You literally could spend, we have 5 videos now on our channel just about analytics, different analytics, and going into them.
We created a series going through the most important YouTube analytics and diving into each one of them and how to use them to grow your videos. So yeah, the fact that we have 5 of them shows that there's a lot to cover with analytics.
And that's not even all the analytics. That's just the most important, the most common ones that you're going to be looking at. That's not even all of them. So
I think YouTube literally tells you if your viewers' shoestrings are tight or something. I mean, it's that serious.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They tell you like anything you want to know.
And in particularly with podcasts, it gives you a lot more insights than you're going to get anywhere else. Back when we were still kind of early in the business, I was doing some podcasting stuff as well, and I was editing and managing a podcast for this big company. And as part of it, I had to do analytics reports for them. And there's just not much analytics that they usually give you, because most podcast platforms, and they give you the amount of downloads you had, how many people watch a video. They give you some demographic information about where the people are coming from, when people watched your content. But other than that, there's almost nothing. Whereas YouTube, the big thing that YouTube has that other podcast hosting platforms don't have is that YouTube lets you know where in the podcast people stopped listening. You can go into the YouTube studio and you can see a graph of your entire video and show the percentage of people that were watching at those specific areas. And that allows you to really dissect your content and figure out, okay, we lost 15% of our people within this 15-second gap. What happened here? Why did this not, like, what was happening here that didn't work, and how can we improve it? And that level of detail allows you to really improve your content. Whereas if you're just doing it on the other podcast hosting platforms and all you get is how many people watch your content, then all you can really tell is, oh, that one did better. I don't know why. I guess we were talking about this. I tried out this style here. I did this here. It's one of those things, I guess. But with YouTube, literally, if there is anything you could ever want to know about your content or who the people are who are watching your content, YouTube gives it to you, which allows you to be very strategic and precise in the changes that you make to your content to make sure that you're always improving it.
Yeah, we always geek out over YouTube analytics in general. If we ever get, we cannot bring our analytics up in a business meeting unless it's specifically about that, because we will sidetrack the entire meeting.
I think I'm the worst. I have so much fun. I mean, it tells you what country your viewers were from. I mean, this last week, for each video, you can break it down. You know, was it mostly men or women, or, you know, male or female, or from what country, or what time did they watch it? You know, do we have late night viewers? Do we have, you know, it's just incredible.
And also where they found your content from, whether it's they found it on their homepage or on your channel page, or if they followed a link to it, then it breaks it down. Okay, did that link come from a Facebook post? Did it come from LinkedIn? Where did they find your podcast?
Did YouTube recommend your content to someone just, you know, on their own? And that's exciting. Every time I see that, I get really excited. Yeah. So lots of great reasons why having your live show, your podcast on YouTube is just such a powerful thing to do.
And there's one more, and what I want to leave you off on. I lost my mind when I figured this one out in my research for YouTube podcasting. Okay, YouTube, the thing about YouTube, they really want your podcast to succeed. So much so they have a 67-page guide on launching a podcast on YouTube, going into everything from your channel names, whether you should start a new channel or keep it on your old channel, it goes into everything, into tracking your analytics, into setting up your artwork, into everything you could need for specifically setting up a YouTube podcast is in this thing. Like I spent like an hour deep diving into this. It's so good. So I have the link. I'm going to stick it in the comments or on LinkedIn and YouTube. As soon as we're done, I'm going to hop over, stick it in the comments so that y'all can take a look at it. It's definitely worth looking into, but yeah, it's extensive.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love about YouTube, and this is one of the reasons why I like YouTube is my big focus, is that YouTube succeeds when you succeed. And that's not the same with a lot of other platforms, but that's what makes YouTube special, is that YouTube will fight for you to succeed. And as long as you are putting in the work to make content that people like, YouTube will reward you for that. Because at the end of the day, what YouTube wants is YouTube wants people to stay on YouTube for longer. And
Yeah.
how are they going to stay on YouTube for longer? If they're enjoying the content that they are being given. So if you are creating content that people will enjoy, then YouTube will make sure that gets to the right people, because if they realize, oh, people like this video, like I've shown it to 1,000 people, 500 of them like this video. Okay, that means it's doing well. Let's show it to another 1,000 people, or 10,000 people, or 100,000 people, and it will keep fighting for you to get your videos seen by the right people. Because the better your videos perform and the more people enjoy them, the more YouTube is benefited by that, because people stay longer, which means they watch more ads, which means YouTube makes more money. So as long as you're creating content that people enjoy watching, YouTube will do all the work for you of making sure that your content gets seen by the right people.
Yeah. So if you have a podcast, why not? At this point, there's no reason not to be hosting your podcast as a video on YouTube, because it's recording the same content anyways. You just set up a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
100% agree with you, Jenny. This was a great topic.
So I had fun. It was also fun trying to keep it from those two. Because I was like, I want to tell them because I know they're going to get excited about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for helping me out with stretching this out to be longer than what I could make it.
Yeah, anytime.
And if you need help digging through some of that YouTube podcasting manual, give us a call. Or
Yeah.
reach out.
I am
and
going to be digging into it even more myself. So, So for sure, if you got any questions about any of that, shoot us a comment, shoot us a message, either one. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Have a great weekend, y'all.